It is said that the hand that rocks the cradle rules the world. Can the same hand shatter the glass ceiling and step confidently into the future? Today, we gather to explore this powerful truth as we delve into the theme of women in leadership breaking the glass ceiling in Indian style. Om Shri Sai Ram, offering my most humble pranams at the divine lotus feet of our beloved Mother Sai. Good morning and warm welcome to all the esteemed dignitaries, honored guests, and the august audience. It's a privilege to come together today for this transformative workshop, which promises to guide us towards new horizons of leadership. Let us begin the session with the divine vibrations of the Vedam chanting, a prayer to invoke the blessings of the Almighty, aligning our hearts and minds with the higher purpose of this day.
गणेशाय नमः सरस्वत्यै नमः श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ओम् जातवेदसे सुनवाम सोम मराठी यतो निदहाति वेदः सनः परिषदति दुर्गानि विश्वानावेव सिन्धुं दुरितात्यग्निः ताम् अग्निवर्णां तपसा ज्वलन्तीं वैलोचनीं कर्मफलेषु जुष्टाम् दुर्गां देवीगुं शरणमहं प्रपद्ये सुतरसितरसे नमः अग्ने त्वं पालयानव्यो अस्मान् स्वस्तिभिरति दुर्गानि विश्वा पूश्च पृथ्वी बहुला न उर्वी भवातोकायतनयाय शय्यो विश्वानि नो दुर्गाः जातवेदः सिन्धुन्न नावादुरिताधिपर्षि अग्ने अग्रिवन्मनसा गृणानो अस्माकं बोध्यविदातनूनाम् वृतनाजितगुं सहमानमुग्रमग्निगुं हुवेम परमासदस्तात् स नः परिषदति दुर्गानि विश्वाक्षामद्देवो अतिदुरितात्यग्निः प्रत्नोषिकमेड्यो अध्वरेषु जनाच्च होतानव्यसससि स्वाञ्चाग्ने तनुवं पिप्रयस्वात्मभ्यं च सौभगमायजस्व गोभिर्जुष्टमयुजो निषिक्तं तवेन्द्र विष्णोरनुसञ्चरेम नाकस्य पृष्ठमभिसंवसानो वैष्णवीं लोकह्यमादयन्ताम् कात्यायनाय विद्महे कन्याकुमारी धीमहि तन्नो दुर्गिः प्रचोदयात् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।
The flame of a lamp is a symbol of knowledge, purity, and the triumph of light over darkness. To mark the auspicious beginning of this event, I request our dignitaries to kindly come forward for the lighting of the lamp. Esteemed Vice Chancellor, Professor B. Raghavendra Prasad, Guest of Honor, Managing Director and CEO of Shriram Capital Private Limited, Mrs. Subhashri Shriram, former CEO, Cognizant Foundation, Mrs. Rajashri Natarajan, our beloved Director, Professor P.L. Rani, and last but not the least, Dean of Management and Commerce, Dr. U. Sumarao.
Thank you, dignitaries, for spreading the light of wisdom and positivity among us. I request everyone to please take their seats. I now request the organizing team to present the bouquets handmade by students of Anantapur as a gesture of gratitude for gracing this occasion with your presence despite pressing commitments. To extend a warm welcome to our gathering, we have with us Dr. U. Suma Rao, Dean of Management and Commerce, Sri Sathya Sai Institute of Higher Learning. A proud alumnus of Sri Sathya Sai Educational Institutions, Dr. Rao earned the prestigious All-Rounder Gold Medal and has since dedicated her career to advancing education and research in her alma mater. Her remarkable contributions include being awarded the Sai Krishna Award for Excellence in Teaching. Dr. Rao's research, particularly her doctoral thesis on top women executives in India, has been pioneering in exploring work-life balance and gender bias, issues that are as pertinent today as they were a decade ago. This foresight makes her insights on women in leadership particularly valuable and timely. It's my pleasure to invite Dr. U. Suma Rao to deliver the welcome address. Dr. U. Suma Rao.
Thank you for that warm introduction. It's my pleasure today to invite all of you for this conference. Firstly, my humble pranams at Bhagwan's lotus feet, without whom none of this would be possible. It's also my very, very pleasant duty to invite our Vice Chancellor, Sir, Professor Raghavendra Prasad, who leaves literally no stone unturned in order to progress our institution. We are so honored to have you, Ms. Subhashri ma'am, and amidst all of us. You're a big inspiration to all the budding young managers sitting behind you. And we are very, very grateful to have you, Ms. Rajshri Natarajan. We know about the amount of work you're working with the Sathya Sai Vidya Vahini, so we feel you're very much a part of our family. And today, of course, with all the wisdom you bring, with your experience at Cognizant and with social work, I'm sure you will give us great insights. We're so happy to have Shraddha with us. Shraddha is familiar to us. She has come here multiple times, so she's always welcome. We take special pride in welcoming our alumni women executives. They used to sit in those very same chairs and benches, went through a lot of harrowing and boring classes, and also survived the examination system. Today, they are occupying a different set of positions, and in their success and in their ability, we see a fruition of all that we did. So we welcome Rajshri Natarajan, our Managing Director of Deloitte Batch 2001, MN Sai Geetam, and from Giant Eagle Incorporation, and she's the gold medalist of BSc Physics from the divine hands she received it. And I'm not going to mention the total number of gold medals that she got. I'll save it for the introduction. Then we have Tarini Iyengar. We remember her distinctly. 2003, BSc Physics again. Paniketi, our youngest. Also BSc Physics 2006. We are so happy to have you all back home. I would also like to welcome people who are internal to SSSIHL, but nevertheless, our pillars of support. Dean of Sciences, Professor Pallab Barua, storehouse of energy, ideas, and endless inspiration. Age is really a number when you see him. And then we have our dear Rani. I'm calling her Rani with taking that liberty. So she's our Dean of Humanities and also the director of this campus. If you say devil lies in details, you have to see the details she goes into. She is meticulous, and her attention and her methods have actually helped our institution greatly, and we are always happy to have her. We are waiting for, I think, Professor Sathya and the placement officer, Vaidyanathan sir, who will be joining us very soon. Vaidyanathan sir is the one who's giving all our early start to career as a placement officer. Sathya sir is the one who's redefining our MBA program, making it so much more contemporary. He's also an alumni, has joined us back. And of course, all our teachers, they are the grid on which everything is built. So DMC teachers, our head of the department has not been here, has not been able to come because of his indisposed with the surgery, but he is the one who sowed the seeds for this whole conference. So it would be remiss if we don't remember him today. And Dr. Padmavati, who's actually the backbone of today's program. A big welcome to all the students of DMC for whom this event is being organized. Now comes a few words about the relevance of this topic and why we chose this actually. Way back in 2014, when I just finished my research, it was about gender bias and work-life balance as issues which block women in the corporate thing. There's a lot of talk about the glass ceiling being shattered. I don't know whether I would fully agree with that. I would just say we bore big holes into the glass ceiling. That's it. I don't know about shattering it. But the simile which now is currently used in gender literature is not of a glass ceiling, but of a labyrinth. They call it a maze. And, you know, in a maze, you can get lost. You never find your way. And it takes 10 times more effort to just get from one side to the other. For a lot of women in top careers, it is like that. The causes for it are plenty, and research actually identified, when I did my research, we identified about 5 to 6 factors which cause this. And yesterday I was reading the AMA report written with the KPMG, the gender report of 2024, and literally the same areas are talked about today. I just made a list of all of them with the percentages because that is difficult to remember, but the rest of the things are. So one of the things which they were talking about was social conditioning, deep social conditioning which steers women away from even ambitious careers. They doubt themselves, they lack confidence, and they feel it requires way more effort to, do something which is non-conventional, leadership being one of them, top level leadership. And this is one thing which they talk about. Then the constant struggle of work-life balance. There is, whatever it is, even to date, women take the larger share of caregiving, and therefore their duties are there. Whenever I used to speak to women executives, I spoke almost to about 125 women executives across India, all of them on high positions, VP, MD, CEO. And all of them would talk about the guilt, the big thing which they have to deal with, especially wondering if we were good mothers enough, we are good, housewives enough, wives enough, because there's so much energy which gets consumed in a workplace. So, in the course of my research, I did get a lot of coping strategies they use, which I thought would be useful for further generations, to negotiate through this labyrinth. The other thing which women talk about is societal biases which are unconsciously creep into the organization system, and those are subtle biases. During my research, I had identified about 9 such biases, and the top among them 2 were standing out. One is called the double bind, which says that when women are assertive or aggressive, they are seen as in your face. And if they are too reticent, they are seen as non-leadership material. So it's called the double bind. They're hit on both ways. a big percentage of women then subscribed for it. But luckily, when I see the KPMG report, it also gives us some positives. They say about 23% of the organization have got 30 to 50% of representation of women in leadership. The gender norms are changing slowly but surely, and however, it doesn't include the pay pack, but otherwise. But only 12% of women make to the C-suite. The biggest problem is the dropout. In the entry level, there are a whole lot of women who join workforce. And even if we take our MBA students and statistics, we see about within 5 to 6 years, there's a huge dropout out of that. Re-entry is not what all women do. And one of the beautiful things which I found during my research is when I spoke to a lot of women on how they endured through the whole thing to, come up in their career, at least 95% of them gave the credit to their spouses. They said, generally behind a successful man, there is a woman, but even the vice versa works. Behind a successful woman also, there is a man. So they were talking about how their husbands would play the role of mentors, and they would also give them self-confidence in dark periods. How they would help them to negotiate the complex politics which are there in any of the top level of organization. So they were talking about a lot of these things and how they help them to network, because networking is a big disadvantage for many women. And when they are pitched in with their husbands together, there's a whole lot of networking they can do. And these were the things they spoke about to me. So the dearth of mentorship and networking is another area which a lot of women executives talk about. Now, if you look at the numbers, that is current numbers, 41% say that they give up on a career because of caregiving duties. 23% say it is biases at workplace. 13% says it's limited access to networking and mentorship, and about 12% say it's lack of equal opportunities. So this is just the idea. So there is an urgent need for us to resolve, or if not resolve, at least sensitize young women who step into corporate careers on how to negotiate through this. And so I hope that this is a big takeaway all of you will take after today's sessions. The other thing which I would like to say is that at Sathya Sai Institute of Higher Learning, thanks to our Bhagwan, we have a slightly different perspective on this. Our perspective basically is that true empowerment comes from the soul, nowhere else. When you are deeply empowered in your soul, then negotiating to any other thing is way much easier. And so we think that, strengthening your moral fiber, increasing your true self-confidence, with a capital self, and capitalizing on the qualities which are endowed to womanhood, because Swami says that women are endowed with higher qualities simply because they're part of creation. So, in the creative process, so the kalas which are given to a woman are greater in number. So we have the innate strength, exploiting this or bringing it out to the forefront is one of the things which is important for us. So instead of just looking for answers outside, there are answers to be looked inside. And just to end, I would like to remember a beautiful poem, Wordsworth's poem, which I read as a child. It's just called, it describes a beautiful woman, actually. It's called The Phantom of Delight. And, he begins his poem with, "She was a phantom of delight when she first gleamed upon my sight, a lovely apparition sent to be a moment's ornament." And he goes on describing the levels of beauty. And the last stanza, he speaks about her inner beauty. And that is the lines I would like to end on. He says, "And now I see with the eye serene the very pulse of the machine, a being breathing thoughtful breath, a traveler between life and death. The reason from the temperate will, endurance, foresight, strength, and skill, a perfect woman nobly planned, to warn, to comfort, and command." The word command underscored. "And yet a spirit still and bright, with something of an angelic light." So this is the kind of women we would like to produce in the Sathya Sai Institute of Higher Learning, with angelic light. Purposes higher than themselves, so that they achieve their position, not just in society, but also think the little problems of life could be taken care of then. So with these few words, I welcome all of you again, and we hope that you will all pay enough attention and discerningly take a lot of details from what you hear and implement them in your life. Okay, thank you so much, Sir.
Thank you, Dr. Suma, for setting the tone of the day with your thought-provoking perspectives. Whether in class or on any stage, you never fail to ignite that spark of leadership within us. And we all promise to become that woman with that angelic light within us. We promise to become that. Today, we are deeply honored to have the presence of Professor B. Raghavendra Prasad, the esteemed Vice Chancellor of Sri Sathya Sai Institute of Higher Learning. A distinguished alumnus of SSS IHL, he has had a remarkable career in physics and astrophysics. Professor Prasad has made significant contributions to space missions, including leading the development of primary payload for India's first space solar observatory, Aditya L1. His passion for astronomy, research, and sustainable energy has earned him accolades in both academic and service domains. On a personal note, I had the chance to interact with Professor during our last convocation, where I was the part of Women's Brass Band welcoming the President of India. Though his words were very few, it deeply resonated with me, reflecting a genuine appreciation for our efforts. This moment underscored his belief in the strength and potential of women, aligning perfectly with the theme of today's workshop. May I now invite Professor B. Raghavendra Prasad to deliver the inaugural address. Professor B. Raghavendra Prasad.
Om Shri Sai Ram. Yeah, nice to hear that loud and clear, young voices, and offering my prayerful salutations at the divine lotus feet of our most revered founder Chancellor, Bhagwan Shri Sai Baba. All the women guests over here who have broken that proverbial glass ceiling, all the achievers, we welcome all of you. And we are very, very proud and happy to have all of you over here. And I'm sure our children over here, the bright young faces, would certainly, benefited in a, I don't know what limitations we can put on that. It's a limitless benefit, I would say that. And I have my own colleagues over here, the respected deans and ever dynamic director of the campus, who wears two hats. One is a deanship and other one is a directorship. And I can assure you both are very challenging. I mean, she's been handling it very effectively. Of course, even though she has been telling me quite a few times to remove, at least take out one of them. But we are more than convinced she can have more of them very effectively. Okay, because again, that's again another example of breaking the proverbial glass ceiling. And of course, the brightest faces over here in the audience, dearest students. I'm sure I'm the wrong person over here to talk about, in a management, conference and talk about women's, leadership, breaking the glass ceiling, the Indian style. I mean, I think there's a conditionality over there in the Indian style, okay? It's even more challenging to say anything about that. And of course, when I see all the, the great achievers over here, and one thing that I was just wondering, where is my connect to the whole thing? And morning when we were having breakfast, all of our alumni were introduced to me, who are again achievers over here. There's one common factor, forgive me for saying so, they are all physics students. Yeah, including the director over here. I mean, it doesn't undermine any other disciplines, but it gave me a lot of comforting factor. Yeah, exactly. And that's where I made the mistake, probably going into science further. Okay, so that gives me even more sort of feel of I don't want to use the word jealous, but certainly yes. Okay, in going into pure sciences and research. Yeah, I mean, very happy to sort of see a lot of science background students also going into this. Yeah, earlier it was all thought of either the commerce or engineering side. After work experience they go into that. And when I see these youngsters after BSc or whichever discipline here, physics is just an example over here. It's a simple coincidence that most of you are from physics. Any other discipline also is fine. And then yeah, that's the way to go. If you ask me, that's the way to go. In fact, unless we break that glass ceiling, we will not be able to progress much. And as Professor Suma put it very beautifully, if you look at what Swami himself has been saying about empowerment of women, I think there are few things what he said is time to recall some of them, which I myself was wondering, what do I speak on? Okay, the topics are totally alien to me. I never even thought about it in any so-called constructive manner, and then leave alone giving a talk. So I was just making down, a few notes from Swami's, discourses over many decades. And I think he's one of those persons, I mean, whatever you want to call him, doesn't matter. It's all, goes back to him, who really, really gave the due credit, true credit to the women. First, he calls them, in the discourses, most of his discourses you would have heard, women as Shakti, right? What Professor Suma also was saying. What does that mean? What does that mean? It means representing power, wisdom, and compassion, right? Women, Shakti represents that. He never tells that to men, okay? He tells that to women. So it's a beautiful thing, women should realize that, like what Professor Suma was saying, whatever little, issues that we come across in our lives, I'm sure you can certainly break those barriers very easily with these innate powers in you, okay? Next, of course, the role of education. We don't need to tell about what Swami did for education. And he was probably one of the very few who first thought of starting a women's campus than men's campus. And that too in a place like Anantapur, so very arid. When Professor Rani was telling us in the morning, one of our batchmates or seniors who studied here, they were saying that if this college would not have been there, probably their lives would not have been as significant as it is today in terms of professional as well as personal achievements. See, look at the way Swami has touched on so many millions of lives, okay, by starting what we look at is as some kind of a women's college. Why? Those days, I'm sure the first question would have come from anybody is why women's college? I mean, in normal sense, because see, India is typically whatever our value system is still, mostly patriotic, that's what society it is, okay? And we cannot get over that. Okay, very difficult to get over that. That's where somewhere the government policies also do help us. And of course, Swami also quotes a lot of historical role models, okay, from ancient times to even to the very recent times. He expounds their glory, their name, their fame, very, beautifully in most of his talks. He talks about, starts from Sita to Draupadi to even Kittur Rani Channamma, like everybody, he Sarojini Naidu, everyone he has talked about. So he's basically, he sort of identified all these achievers and tried to tell everybody, look, all the women have this potential to achieve this. Okay, so that's the way he glorified women achiever, by himself, no other than God himself. Of course, why does he say that? And Professor Rani briefly, Professor Suma briefly mentioned that they have the greatest ability to balance forces, balance things, anything and everything you can think of, anything that can go into our imaginative, thinking, everything, either family, personal, or professional, any of those, if they make up their minds, I'm sure they have the greatest strength. Being a man, I can tell you, after seeing so many of researchers, even in science also, and many of these, women who have really made it to the top, none of their lives have been very comfortable. Okay, everyone had their own challenges, but they believed in themselves. Okay, and as some good statistics, which I was feeling a little less guilty after Sumar told 95% of them, gave the credit to their spouses also. So I said, I was feeling a little comfortable on that. Okay. Otherwise, some of these things will, make us start feeling guilty. Okay. So luckily, I can come out of that guilt if at all there's anything like that. So, but what I'm saying is these are all very interesting. Women have, and Swami gave it a very purely spiritual significance to it. Spiritual is again a word which is, subject to how you want to take it. So what he's trying to say is you have every potential in you. You just have to realize that, and you will come out of that. And one discourse of Swami way back in 1978, I just can't help from quoting from discourse. He says, women always strive hard. He didn't talk about men over there. Okay. Always strive hard for the welfare of their family and society. They always aspire for samata, samagrata, samaikyata, and samabhratutva. What does it mean? Equality, integrity, unity, and fraternity. Okay. Their speech is truthful. Their hearts are full of peace, and their actions are righteous. I mean, this is the, standard or levels Swami has. And of course, even the men's campus also is always, even if you see our scriptures also, you said it starts with Matru Devo Bhava, right? The first importance is given to mother. And he always told even men folk in a lot of his private discussions about how they should be respectful, respect the positions, respect everything about women. Okay, that was very, very clear. I'm sure Pallav, will agree. There is in number of several, private discussions with students, boys. He has always extolled them to follow these principles. Because even many of us, when we passed out, he told us, take care of Talli and Tandri, mother and father. Okay. Again, the mother aspect of mother comes over there. Okay. He said, never give up on them. Just take care of them always. So that's the importance and values which Swami wanted all of us, his students, to imbibe, inculcate, and follow. Okay, so that's the master. And of course, one always thinks, what is the path forward? It's always good to talk. Does our society accept that? Of course, there are a lot of policies also that needs to be, brought forward by the governments also. And they are doing, I'm sure in all fairness, I see the governments now trying to bring in amendments. I think the 73 and amendment number 73 and 74 in Constitution of India, which empowers, gives what I would say minimum number of percentage of seats in the governance at the grassroots level, to start with grassroots level. So there are a lot of things that are going on, and several of our organizations also now trying to bring in that, what I would say, there are a lot of workshops and motivational talk that happens, men also to behave themselves and not to bring in too many, biases over there. I would rather say that in spite of all that, it's up to women, they should make up their minds, because there's a lot of respect for them. I see in academics particularly, particularly the research, and there are a lot of achievers over there. Tremendous, way they have come up, and they do much better than men as such most of the times. So that's their greatness. And then so the policies are helpful these days, and men also need to be told that they also need to accept this, change, because men are men. I mean, they need to get out of their biases, and if I can use the word insecurities, many times it happens. See, the insecurity is the one that brings in a lot more complexities in everything, in any organization for that matter. I'm sure most of us have seen in different organizations where we have been, and here at least it's secluded. I mean, you're very secure over here, but outside organizations, you find that what drives most of the confusion is because of insecurity. It's not because of anything else. So those insecurities have to be removed. Maybe somewhere or other, both have to sort of meet midway. And well, I mean, I'm so happy to be here and see particularly our young alumni over here, for achievers who are from this very institution, and all the other great women who are here, who really achieved the greatest in the professional careers by breaking the. Of course, Suma used different word there, maze and all those things. But anyway, I don't want to get into those winning complex, make it 10 times harder. No, I don't want to do that. Maybe her statistics probably saying that. But I think it's a simple, straightforward thing one can always achieve if you just make up your mind. And you should not stop at yourself. Your own self-induced doubts should not inhibit your growth. Once we get over those little, inhibitions within ourselves, I'm telling this particularly the young students over here, the bright students. Life is a challenge, let me tell you. It's not easy at all outside. Life is not going to be as protected as it is here. Okay, you got to face the world, and your own inner strength will drive you through that. And I'm sure that guidance of your teachers and all these eminent speakers today, their insights into the whole thing will ensure that each one of you is an achiever. And ultimately, probably if everything's fine, I want to see many of you in that position. Thank you very much. Sai Ram, all the very best.
Thank you, Professor Raghavendra Prasad, for your thoughtful words. Your perspectives have given us so much to think about, and your belief in what each of us can achieve is truly encouraging. We are grateful for your time and the insights you have shared today. It is not every day that we get to hear from someone who has redefined the very framework of leadership. Today, we are in the presence of a game changer who personifies unparalleled leadership. It is my absolute privilege to introduce today's guest of honor, Ms. Subhashree Sriram, Managing Director and CEO of Sriram Capital Private Limited. Ms. Subhashree's journey over the last 3 decades is a testament to her visionary leadership, with expertise spanning life insurance, wealth management, and asset management. She has led transformative initiatives that have set new benchmarks in the industry. Most notably, she spearheaded a landmark corporate action, integrating 8 entities and creating India's largest retail NBFC, an achievement that redefined the landscape of financial services in India. But beyond the figures and the accolades, what truly stands out about Ms. Subhashree is her ability to lead with purpose. She has attracted global investors, orchestrated strategic mergers, and positioned Sriram Group as the largest two-wheeler financier and SME lender in India. These milestones are not just victories for her, but for the countless lives she has impacted along the way. What truly resonates with me is her award-winning leadership, recognized as one of the most influential CFOs in India by SIMA and named Best Performing CFO in the NBFC sector by CNBC TV 18. Ms. Subhashree's excellence is well acknowledged. Her story is not just about corporate success, but about leadership that embraces challenges and turns them into opportunities for growth. Today, as we discuss women in leadership, we couldn't have a more fitting speaker to illuminate this path for us. Please join me in giving a warm and encouraging welcome to this dynamic leader, Ms. Subhashree Sriram.
Good morning, all. I really feel very, very humble. I don't know I deserve any of this, what she said. But if it makes all women happy and proud, I share it with all of you. This is not mine, it's the women. It makes me very, very humble. Thank you for inviting me here. I don't know how many of you know how privileged and honored you are to be in this campus. As I entered this, I just wish 30 years back I was here. I have missed a lot of my life not being in this whole environment. And I see all the professors here, and something which made me, I'm just not going back to what I wrote. It was some notes, but anyway, I'm not going there. Is to go back to my head of department, the lady who made a lot of difference in my life, Mrs. Nirmala Prasad. I thought in this moment when all of you are honoring your teachers, I should honor my professor, my head of department. Without her, I would not be what I am here. It's a journey we all take from our very first breath we take. It's a struggle, we fight. So it's nothing new. Sometimes, sorry to all the men here, few are here. It's an impression that we have to fight. We don't have to fight. It is not a struggle. Don't you think your mothers at home manage a lot more than your father manages? What is so difficult if it is in workplace? Why do we make it so difficult? The minute we make it very difficult, it's becoming a pain, it's a challenge. And while we were walking down, we talked about work-life balance, then something which we want to struggle and fight, enjoy it. So all my time I keep telling, and I will tell this today, is enjoy what you're doing. Every moment of your life is something to be cherished. Today, as you're a student, cherish it. When you get to the corporate world, whatever position you are, it does not matter. I stepped into the corporate world. The first day, I thought I was owner of that company. That's all, period. Then everything which I do is I will do in the interest of the organization. I had nothing beyond that. People talk about professional life and entrepreneurial, and they think they are too different. They are not too different. Entrepreneurial is just a question of whose capital, but your time and effort is equally a capital. I'm sure you must have heard of that in economics. Money alone is not capital. Entrepreneurial is not just about putting money or capital or funds into the business. Putting your time and effort is even more precious capital than just money can buy. And I can tell you later on how in Shriram, we have leveraged businesses. We are businesses which we have third-party funds which we utilize. But what capital are we bringing into that business? It is our labor, is our idea, is our effort, which is equally an important, precious capital. So entrepreneurial, professional, whichever journey, wherever you take your life, as I understand you're all management students, they're no different. Let me start with my journey and I will stop somewhere in between. I'm free to, you can ask me questions. I had a surname, my surname is Shriram, and just to clarify, there is no part, I'm not a part of the Shriram group, I'm not a family member of the Shriram group, I'm professional. I'm not, the Shriram group incidentally is not a family ownership. The company and the group is entirely owned and managed by professionals. There is no one Mr. Shriram, SHRARAM, my husband is SRARAM, clarified. There is no SHRARAM person in the group who says, I am the owner. And so very first day I started my email conclusion to just be Subhashri. I never referred myself Subhashri Shriram, not even to mislead anyone's think that I'm a part of it. So if you see my latest press release and everything, it just says Subhashri. I don't use my surname just not to mislead people. So I joined as an accounts officer trainee. And just to my journey, my life could make some difference to you when you are starting your career. So I thought I'll start with that. I joined in a public sector job. Within few months, I realized that was not my calling. Few months, hardly few weeks, I could say, but worked for a few months. Within a few weeks, I realized that was not my calling. Needed more energetic environment. And at that point in time, it was not that I'm saying it is the case today or it was all the time. In that particular space and time, it wasn't as energetic as I would want it to be. And I quit without another job. And I was married, and actually, end of my honeymoon, my husband brought me in the job and came back here. Very interesting honeymoon. Brought me in a different city and said, bye-bye, take care. And he walked back, and I was all of 21, 22 years old. And realized that was not the place. I quit my job and without another job in hand, looked around for jobs thereafter, and joined the Shriram Group for a salary almost 1/10 of what I was joining in public sector. So it would be in height of stupidity. A campus recruit, rank holder, fancy job, public sector with all the perks, DA, GA, EA, ABCD, everything was there. And I went into private sector, low rank officer, fraction of a salary. But the very first day, and that's my topic, the mentor. I had a mentor there. And that's the topic I want you to note down. Finding your mentor. That changed 1 minute, that mentor changed what I want to live and work here. You don't work for companies, you work for your bosses. I think you must have heard this a long time. And that mentor made the difference for me. And I was not looking back after that. And something please remember, salary day is only 1 day in a month. Next 29 days is your work days. You don't carry your salary slip and your paycheck all through your 30 days your work. So the day if you're sad, let's be sad 1 day. The rest 29 days you can be very happy working. If you work for your salary, all 30 days are going to be sad days. So that 29 days I enjoyed. Not that 1 day didn't matter much. But working, the challenge which I got. So as freshers who join, look for jobs which you continue to learn. A mentor, I don't call the word boss, whom you look up to. Everyone needs to anchor to a mentor. We may have mentors outside workplace, your mother, your older sister, cousins. I'm talking of in the women, or even could be a brother or a father. But more important, try to look for a mentor, because there's a lot of things which you can correlate to behavior pattern. How do I react to a particular situation? And what you look every day. As a child, we learn seeing our parents. So workplace is not something you would have learned and practiced. You might have done mock studies in your MBA course, you would have done case studies, mock talks, but all that will not help you in real time. They are so dynamic, unpredictable. So you need a mentor, and I had a wonderful mentor who, till date, one guru which I look up to. And, but then you grow beyond that. Mentors should be able to, like your teachers. Your teachers teach you, but then you go on in life and do things beyond what your teachers taught you. But the teaching is what made you go up. So I learned, and mentors also have their own faults sometimes. You learn to discern that as well. So you pick what is good, you learn, you experiment, you put them to use, and you move on. So this was my journey. Second, grab opportunities. Don't get stuck in your comfort zones. As you grow, as you get comfortable, the first is like driving cycle or driving a car. The first day, why the hell I should drive the car? Can't somebody drive me out? I'll go by bus. When driving a cycle or whatever. The first few days are very painful. Once you get the hang of it, you don't want to get off that. So is on the job. The first few days are painful. Then you get on, you don't want to get out of it. That's the next change. Break out of the comfort zone. Get into new, different, completely unrelated, if possible, activities, which effectively means you will actually start learning and relearning again. You're a student again. Every time you get back to being a student, that is when you go up a little bit. So be a student all your life and learn different things, different points in time. So this gave me an opportunity to move across industries. I've worked in pharma, I've worked in technology, consulting, broking, insurance, multiple businesses. In different forms, sometimes more depth, sometimes less in depth, but learn. So if you think you're a student and you're going to work and your exams, books are going to come to an end, I'm sorry, it's going to be with you for lifetime. If it is not with you for lifetime, you are not going to go up. Then the glass ceiling is all, forget it. You're not going to be there. Your books, your learning, your reading, facing exams is a lifetime activity. There is no second thing to it. If you think you're end of your curriculum, end of your exams, please rethink. You're going to do this again and again, more frequently, lifetime. That is corporate world. Learning is important. Today, technology is changing it. Subjects are changing. The laws are changing. I mean, just to say, when I did my education, one act which wasn't there at that time was IT Act, Information Technology Act. We didn't have technology. And as a reason, about 5-7 years back, I did the Nalsar course of IT exam. I wrote that IT law course. Just because I said that is one act which I have not studied in my life and I did my education. If that's a new act which has come in, you might have learned SEBI, you might have Foreign Exchange Act, you would have Contract Act, Companies Act, New Companies Act, Old Company Act, Income Tax Act. Everything is all hash of the earlier acts which was already in existence. One which was all new, brand new is IT Act. We didn't have technology way back in 90s and 80s. So study again. Right? Went back to, I was writing an exam where the people who wrote along with me were 20s and I was here, the granny there in the batch. They didn't know whether I was a invigilator or I was a student. So they were a little scary, not coming near me. And to write a 3-hour exam, pen and paper itself was a challenge. I think that was the biggest challenge in studying the exam. 3 hours, morning, evening, 3 hours, 6 hours writing exams, 4 papers. I think the first time I thought my hand muscles were weak, which you took it so granted for in your youth. So studying, relearning is the second one. Third, as I said, take opportunities, come out of your comfort. Every time you get a new opportunity, nobody is going to give you, grant you, call you and give it to you. That's something please understand. At home, you might have been pampered, or you might not even, there are fewer members at home, you might be called to given an opportunity. Outside world, you might use the word rat race, but there are enough and more people in the world and you're not the precious one. Unless you're so-and-so's daughter-in-law, which is maybe most of us are not privileged to be. So please find out a position for yourself, which means grab opportunities. Next, be prepared for failures. If you haven't failed in your work life, then you haven't done anything material. So people spoke about all my successes. I can tell you a lot more about my failures. And every failure has made what I am today. Every time I went back to my room crying. Crying is not a bad one. It's a feeling that I let myself down. That is the feeling. It let myself down. I should have done this better. Made me re-examine. So one thing which I tell my colleagues, nothing wrong in making mistakes. Please don't repeat the same mistake. Make a different mistake. Very good. Please don't repeat the same mistake. But making more mistakes is perfectly all right because somebody is thinking differently. That's why mistakes happen. If they do what I said exactly, there'll be no mistakes, but no thinking as well. And it is not going to get, we will never in an organization get a multiplier effect. Organizations get a multiplier effect when people differently think. Sum total of it is larger than sum total of just people thinking alike. So think, fail, don't repeat, make a different mistake, learn from it. Next, the excuse to the men here, but please understand, God has designed men and women differently, not just physically. Mental thinking, emotional thinking are extremely different. They're so far apart. You're in, I think people spoke earlier about, sir spoke about the outside world is very different. It is so different. And if you cannot, we always seek empathy, that why can't men be empathetic to women? My always statement is, we are fewer, please empathize the men. They just don't know how to react with women. It is their problem. It is a sad state. They are not, they just cannot fathom, why are you behaving like this? It's so illogical to them. I mean, what is so logical to them is so illogical to us. And that's the way we are wired. We are wired that way. Accept that wiring first. Do not deny and resist that wiring. It's a God's divine way. We are wired differently. And minute you accept it, you do not ask any concessions. Instead, like Sir said, their insecurities, I can't call insecurities, they're differences that we make perceive it as insecurities. It's just they're wired differently, and accept it. The minute you accept that wiring, you will know, and I can tell you one secret. We women are extremely capable of changing our behaviors to situations. Correct? And you're not yet married. As you get married, you will understand how you change into a new household. You immediately change. Do a man change into a new household? No. And woman goes into a new household and changes her behavior. She could be the queen in her house, and in her mother-in-law's house or her husband's house, she takes up responsibilities a lot more than she would have done elsewhere. That's the women by nature. We are more adaptable. And accept men are not adaptable. Accept it. Don't resist it. Don't question it. Don't challenge it, because it is God's creation that way. Why am I not being done? Why am I being not called for? Why am I not being given this opportunity? These questions are futile. Why can't I do? Why am I not asking for it? Please ask those questions which you can react. Do not ask questions where you have no answers. They are waste of time. Never spend a time in your life thinking about things which you have no control over it. That is called peace of mind, calm, serenity, whatever you call it. I don't know those words. But please don't waste time where you can't have an action control over it. It's a waste of time. And invariably women have the tendency. Oh, someone is sick, we are worried. Oh, someone is poor, we are worried. Can I do anything about it? Do it. Otherwise, go on in life. That goes back to our caregiving. We end up many times not caregiving physically, we end up caregiving mentally. This mental trauma is draining our energy. If I can put that mental strength to productive use, I'll figure out solutions even for those caregiving. More elegant solutions, rather than trying to do it yourself, where you are probably less equipped than someone else. You're less trained than someone else, but we believe that we are chartered to do it, therefore I will put myself there, physically be present, when I have no value to being present there. But I have a guilt trip that I am not there, therefore I am irresponsible, so and so. I'll give you a personal example of mine. I think it was, my son was in third or fourth. And I got a call from school saying that my son had fallen off something and is fractured his leg. And I was in a meeting with some, I'm not saying I was in a very fancy high power meeting. I was in a office meeting. But then at minute I said, what can I do? A 10, 12-year-old boy, I can't lift him, carry him, walk around. What will I do? He'll cry. I'll also sit and cry along with him. I'm not going to lift him like this and carry him to the hospital or anything. I'm going to call 2 men in the school and do all this work. The most elegant one is to call my husband and say, please take care of him. Because he is much more equipped. That's the most logical thinking. But instinctively, you will want to run around. Incidentally, my son's school was 3 buildings from my office. 3 buildings from office, I still did not step out because I said I am not the right person for this problem. If my daughter had her periods coming in, yes, I will be the first one to go and get her the appropriate stuffs and put her back to school. I will do that. If she needs the comfort, not that her father can't do it, but it's just the logical thinking, the most appropriate. So when we want to be the caregiver, please use not just the emotion, but more logical thinking. And I like the Indian style. Women, our ecosystems can't be broken off. So when I got married and people ask me, where are you? I never say my in-laws are living with me, I live with my in-laws. That was a very strategic statement, not being very generous or anything. It's just saying that I'm not taking care of my household responsibilities. My in-laws are taking care of it. Is that when I can give that, take step back, it gives me that bandwidth to do what I need to do. Again, prioritize what you're good at, who's good at what point in time. You don't have to do all the things yourself. But 30 years today, yes, my in-laws live with me, or my parents, because they need more my support than I need. They could support me right now. But 30 years ago, they were fit enough and they are happy, and I don't have to take away anything from them right now. If I can coexist, and the most challenging women have, and that's something generations have said, kitchens are owned by and managed by women. Please forget that. That's a myth which has been generations which have been drilled into our heads. Kitchens run by themselves. I'm not saying which gender runs it, kitchens run by themselves, just as every other household activities runs by themselves. Your laundry gets done, your plants watered, your house getting cleaned, your shoppings for household items get done, kitchen as well can get done. And you don't have to be the only one to be the custodian of the key of the kitchen. So these are drained. I'm not saying you don't cook. I have this Indian style. Family is very important. And if you do not have a system which gives you the peace of mind at home, I can assure you your productivity is a fraction in workplace. I'm not saying 95% women celebrated their husbands. 100% of women should celebrate their families. It could not just the husbands, it could be their parents, their parents-in-laws, the children. Many generations today, I see the culprit is not the husband or the in-laws, it's the children who demand more from their parents, with their mothers. And the excuse for the mother and this mid-life dropout is my son is in 10th, my daughter is in 12th, exams are these. I don't know if your financial requirements are not so difficult, would you drop off? But children are excused to get dropped off your career. So today, I don't know, 95% of women should, if they are still surviving in their career, should chat. And if they have children, they should thank the children for it, not their spouses. So as you go in your life, this is not about job, it is a life. Or you're just starting, one part of your life is work, the other part of you're all going to get into a different lifestyle, which is marriage, having children, taking care of your older parents. stages in life. Now parents took care of you 20 years, like Sir said. Never, ever, ever distance yourself from your parents. Wherever, whichever part of the world you go, please remember there is one which is so, so important to you is your parents and parents-in-law. Your everything else, what you do, your money, your power is not going to give them. They can be very proud of you, so and so. The biggest joy is being with them. Your money becomes irrelevant to them. Your power becomes irrelevant to them. Today it is very nice. I mean, I can tell you when I got promoted, any point of time, my parents would have never even looked at, I'm still their daughter. How does it matter to them what I am outside? In fact, recently my niece mentioned to me saying that you probably are the only one MD CEO who's got an older brother who's dragging you till now. I said, that's a privilege. I have an older brother who can still drag me. Enjoy it. Don't distance yourself from your corporate. The Indian style is being win the family and still being successful. Not being successful minus your family, minus your society. Family could be anything. I'm not saying marriage is the family. Anything which is with being your parents, being with your siblings, be whatever is it you started off, continue and be able to encompass all of this and should not be at the cost of one versus the other. So your family should supplement your career growth and not be on the way or in the way of your growth. So opportunities are important. Taking a family or a inclusive society, inclusive lifestyle is very important. If you were to look at leadership lessons, team is very important. As you grow, as in your career, be supportive to form a team which is cohesive. You can't be a lone winner. You can't be a leader by yourself. Leader is only a leader who is surrounded by as or better equipped colleagues than yourself. So if you're confident of yourself, you will surround yourself with people who are better equipped than you and still be the leader. So try to surround yourself with the best minds. Seek intelligent minds, bright minds, and go and associate yourself with those. Don't get into the comfort zone that you boss around people who are less equipped than you. It's going to drag you down over a period of time. Search and go towards those people who can challenge you, many a time defy you, and they are the best colleagues for you could ever ask for. They could it's like your classmate who listens to everything what you say, it's bore. Somebody who argues with you, somebody who debates with you. I'm sure those debates will make a lot more difference in even your exams than a person who just listened to everything which you said and said yes, yes, then you don't remember what you said. That person who listened to you would actually get better marks than you. So find people who challenge intellectually. Surround yourself with such people. Be completely open to change. Any change is okay. Location change, job change, new departments, new functions. That's which I said, learn, train yourself. Be a person who is go-to person for the organization. The minute you're the go-to person, I think your value in the system goes up. And matter of time, be patient, obviously. Nothing happens overnight. The last I want to say, financial independence. It's a very double-edged sword. Women need financial independence, but not to the extent that it can destroy your family. And that is something which you have to understand. Men are wired such a particular way, and they believe they are the caregivers in a particular fashion. Just as women believe they are a particular fashion caregivers, men have the thousands of years of, they are the head of the family. Nothing wrong going ahead with that. The head of the family is the man. You don't have to take the position and sit on the top of that. Allow, just as my household is run by my mother-in-law, my house is also run by my husband. And that doesn't give me feel any less inferior. But it's important to know and to be fully informed about the financial well-being of the house, which means you value your money or the family money. And your money or your earnings is part of the family and not yours alone. Was one I keep seeing in this current generation is women who get into workplace have the tendency to separate the two, and that creates disconnect in the household. The other extreme is also not good, that I completely dissolve all my responsibilities. I get the check, put the bank account, give a joint account, do everything. I know nothing about it. At 40, I have a family calamity and I'm completely lost. But I've been working for 15 years. I don't know what happened to it. That's equally bad. So I don't know about your curriculum. I'm sure it is there. If it isn't, please bring it in. Is every girl child from very early age of your education financial literacy? Understanding financial literacy is not just knowing about actually managing your own investments. Understanding what investments are, what our retirement plannings are, what our goal settings for financial planning is an important joint responsibility of women. The minute you have those trained, my gut feeling is midlife career dropouts will be reduced, because you will understand those goal settings are going to get compromised if you're going to get off the job. Because you have not set a goal, you have not a planning properly, you are able to drop off your career in between. If I know I need to have this much of at this point in time, this is my wealth, I will try continuing it somehow to reach, because I'm going to miss the goal. So what can be a 2-year break can destroy my goal itself, which means my child's education can get compromised, or my retirement life can get compromised, or whatever it is. Or I don't have the safety egg for an health issues. So be it as it is, financial planning, to me, while as ma'am said, a lot of entry level women come in mid-level, and mid-level drop out. What do you expect the top level? Magic will come, what? Suddenly men will become women and they'll become the percentages. The women have anyway dropped off the middle level. And therefore the top level is scarce and few in between. We just are fewer number on the top, just not because nobody helped us. Because women in the middle have dropped off the race. What do you blame the men for? You entered with enthusiasm the job market and you drop off. Nobody to blame but the women. You just are not there in proportion. If you only have 20% women, 30% women in the middle, how can it become 50% men and women in the C-suite? Mathematically impossible. Unless you have the grants and charity that people just disproportionately promote women to the top positions, due to just for statistic purpose. So middle level is the most important, crucial level. You address that problem, the senior C-suite gets addressed. Focusing on C-suite is a wrong cause. There just are fewer in there, and what can that be done? Don't blame the men there. They're not being irresponsible. So financial literacy, financial independence is a very, very, very important. I'm saying this to management students, but very often we do it for living, but we never do it for ourselves. So the first day in your life, which is even today, your pocket money or whatever money you have, you should have your savings. And I'm making a very big distinction. Savings should be converted into investments. And I hope you understand the difference between savings and investments. Don't stop with savings, move on to investments, which effectively means saving is keeping the money aside, saving, investment is making the money work for you. Let the money work for you. Even when you're sleeping, money can work for you. Even when you take a career break, money can work for you. Your savings, which are not kept aside but put to use, can actually be the income which comes in, even when you're taking a short breaks. So important last is get yourself at the financial literacy. Summarize. If you don't believe in yourselves, nobody's going to believe in you. Tell how many of you believe in yourself 100% that you're the rock star. How many of you have doubts that you're not? Drop your doubts. Believe in yourself. You're the rock star. You are good enough. I can tell you, I'm speaking all this with nice wise gray, a lot of gray hair. But I wasn't like this. And I wish I had somebody tell me 30 years ago. I learned the hard way. Lucky you. I had, even as 10 years back, I did a wonderful deal. I was very happy and proud of myself. I was in Delhi for a meeting where I introduced both the partners whom I had built the transaction. And there was an evening dinner. For some self-doubt, I didn't attend the dinner. I thought maybe I was not senior enough to attend the dinner. But in my mind, I should have said, I am the person who built this transaction. And I am going to be the person hosting this dinner. But either it was my femininity or my insecurity or shy, what we call it. But later on I realized, would a man done this? He would have got suited and booted and stood there and shook hands with the foreigners and exchanged cards and said he did everything. Here I was sitting in the guest house thinking, what's happening? And that's a learning I learned 10 years back. Never too late. Don't miss an opportunity. Build a strong support system. I explained to you about it. Don't miss an opportunity, somebody is helping you. Don't give up. It could be a child, it could be a partner, it could be your in-laws, your sister-in-law, brother-in-law. When I have an entire ecosystem which is helping me, and I'm grateful to every one of them. Every one of them. Including my housemaid, my cook, my driver. I use exhaustively everyone. I'm not shy of asking anyone to help me what it is. If I'm running out of time, I need a new sandals, new shoes. I'm running out of time to shop. I have no problem picking up my old one, telling my driver, go to the same place, bring me the same size. I don't have time to shop. Get me the similar one. This is a check. And today UPA is there, so you can make the payment. I can reimburse him. Everything. It's like I have not hesitated to take help, not compromised on anything. Work is important. If needs be, I'll take the support resource system, whatever it is. If it's to be arranged a dinner at home, I'm not shy enough to do all the calling over the phone, arrange, and still be there what I have to do. Spend the last night prepping for the dinner, get up 4 o'clock in the morning. I have done that all in my life. There are days at 7:15 morning flight, I didn't have a cook. I'd wake up at 4 in the morning, cook for my children, pack their dabba. And those days you didn't have to be 1 hour before that flight. You could rush in and board the flight, and I have done those flight trips as well. I have started work 2.5 months after my child was born, both my children. And I've just come back from a vacation with 2 adult children, which is 30-year-old daughter and a 27-year-old son. I'm just coming back from a holiday with them in Kashmir. All are possible. Everything is possible. Nothing, you can do this, you can do that, we are capable of doing it. Don't say, this is what I can do, this is what I can do, this is what I can't do, first of all. There's nothing we can't do. We can do everything. I've mentioned embraced failures. Use them. Make a point, write down in your book how many times you have failed. And every failure, write down what did you learn out of that. Could you believe anyone if I say today that till standard 10, I was a stammerer? I can't finish a word, leave alone a sentence. I couldn't speak a word, complete a word. Fortunately, I was not born with that childhood, but I acquired it in early childhood through friends. Until standard 10, I couldn't even speak a word. That's what I would say. And everybody will turn around because they didn't felt awkward looking at my face. But they didn't want to make me feel bad. They will look at differently because the minute I start speaking, they'll turn around. Because they know I can't finish that word. Two things I learned, because I start a word, I can't finish it. So I quickly improved my vocabulary to go to the next word. This is the only way I could, because I know this word, I can't finish it. So I'll stop and switch to another thing. And so what is required is to improve my vocabulary. Maybe I also started speaking fast because fear of me stammering is always there in the back of my mind. Can you believe today, the last 20 minutes I've been speaking, can you believe that I could stammer? Did anybody think I could be a stammerer? It's possible. It is possible. So nothing is impossible. Nothing is impossible. It's effort. Learn from those. Every mistake is an opportunity. Take risk. Failures is all about taking risk. Business is all about taking risk. Corporate world is all about taking risk. These are instant decisions. No right or wrong. Instant decisions are being taken. Nobody is going to give you opportunity in hours to decide. Few you may have. A few are instant decisions. On the go decisions. That is very important. You might just get a call and you have to say yes or no. You can't say come back, I'll talk to you 2 days later. Opportunity is gone. The deal is gone. You're in the counter, you're in the market, you're putting a deal. You can't tell me, let me do my formula, do my curve, look at my candlestick and see which is the best stock. Nothing. This is that moment decisions have to be taken. Right or wrong decisions have to be taken. Take risk. Something which women very often I've seen, unfortunately, are very little low on that, largely because we don't want to fail. We don't want to goof up. We don't want to be looked like we are less efficient than. So rather not take risk is better than looking, but I would say take risk, fail, goof up, equally, all very good. Last, take care of your well-being. We are very, very charitable to the world outside, blessed to ourselves. So, very important. Which effectively means communicate to your family that you're equally important person. We communicate to the world and outside, they are very important, we're less important. My time, my space, my well-being is not something I ask and demand. It comes from the family because they appreciate that I'm equally a part of the family and that has to be given to us. So is in the workplace as well. Be passionate, whatever you do. Enjoy your work. Just nothing can take away your pleasure of working. Work-life balance is a new theme like glass ceiling, labyrinth, whatever it is. But 90% or 80% of our waking hours, we are in workplace. We are with people who we should love working with, being with. The day and the minute you are not comfortable, nothing is more important than life, not your money, not your position, walk out of the place. Respect yourself. I'm sure that's exactly what your teachings are as well. Well, respect everybody, respect yourself because you're also God's creation. You're not less than anything else. Be passionate about your work, respect yourself, respect your well-being. I'm sure you'll rock the world. Go and make the world a very, very, very successful, very proud place for everyone. All the very best to all of you. Yeah, I did mention that I'll ask questions. If anyone answer your questions, anyone follow this. In between any break time, I can answer your questions.
It's a warming up time. You can't start.
Are there anyone? Any questions? I always say when there are no questions, either I spoke so brilliantly or I just didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Whichever I'm worried. I'm worried the other one that I didn't make any sense.
Are they scared of us? I doubt it.
Thank you so much, Ms. Subhashri, for your pearls of wisdom, such as finding the right mentor, grabbing the opportunities, breaking our own comfort zone, to be prepared for failure, to be financially independent, the importance of savings and investment, the process of continuous learning and relearning, and last but not the least, not to give up and believe in yourself. Thank you so much for sharing the experiences, and it's not just the success but also the failure that have shaped your remarkable career. And also for reminding us that journey of life is an equal fight for everyone, but it's women who wear various hats, and that's when the fight becomes interesting. I now request our esteemed Vice Chancellor, Professor B. Raghavendra Prasad, to kindly present a token of appreciation to Ms. Subhashri. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, ma'am. We have few more guests who have joined us for the session, and I request the organizing team to present the bouquets to them as a gratitude for gracing this occasion with their presence. Thank you. We will now take a short break for tea and refreshments, and I kindly request everyone to assemble here again by 11:30 as we resume the session. Welcome back. As we return, our next session is one that many of us will find deeply enriching. A session that delves into overcoming self limiting beliefs, a topic as essential as it is transformative. Companies must take lead in bringing business and society back together. They can drive economic success while simultaneously addressing societal challenges. These insightful words from Michael Porter highlights a powerful approach known as creating shared value. Ms. Rajashri Natarajan is truly an example of this approach. A visionary leader who exemplifies the spirit of strategic collaboration and leadership. With nearly 30 years of global experience in the IT industry, she is a powerhouse of innovation and social impact. As the former Chief Executive Officer of Cognizant Foundation, she led groundbreaking corporate social responsibility initiatives directly impacting the lives of underprivileged communities in the areas of education, healthcare, and livelihood. Under her leadership, the foundation evolved into a beacon of change, crafting strategies that aligned the efforts of NGOs, government bodies, and industry stakeholders to amplify social impact. Her role didn't just stop there. Ms. Rajashri played an instrumental part in shaping Cognizant's global delivery platform as a Vice President of Process, Tools, and Knowledge Management at Cognizant Technology Solutions. She spearheaded the development of Cognizant 2.0, an industry-leading platform, a feat that earned her the Cognizant Leadership Award, the company's most prestigious honor. She also led Cognizant to CMMI Level 5 certification, embedding Six Sigma best practices to ensure excellence in global delivery. But what makes her journey even more inspiring is her passion for giving back. In addition to mentoring startups and facilitating workshops on lean process and creative technology solutions, she co-founded a bilingual learning program aimed at uplifting underprivileged children. She holds a master's in electrical engineering from IIT Kharagpur, a certification from Harvard Business School, and a Six Sigma Black Belt. Today, Coming home, she serves as a content lead for Sri Sathya Sai Vidya Vahini's FLN program, SOPAN, which is Transforming Foundational Literacy and Numeracy in over 500 schools across India. She is also a key driver of Sri Sathya Sai Vidya Vahini's engagement in 2 aspirational districts in collaboration with Niti Aayog, furthering her mission of empowering the underserved. Ms. Rajshri is not just a leader, but a beacon for empowerment for women. Please join me in welcoming her, Ms. Rajshri Natarajan.
Sai Ram to one and all. Pranams at the lotus feet of Bhagavan, our beloved mother and father, companion for life, friend for life, was guiding us in every step. This is an excellent opportunity that I didn't want to miss because, setting foot on Swami's first campus. How privileged that I feel today, which I missed, of course, unfortunately, to be part of this. Of course, Swami is sufficiently compensated by making me now part of Sri Sathya Sai Vidya Vahini. I am indeed really honored and humbled to be amidst all these great scholars, compassionate professors, scholars and future scholars and outstanding students, and more importantly, gurus of the modern Gurukula, I should say. And equally, I'm very humbled with Vidya Vahini as well. Though I missed to be part of this campus, again, I'm actually, it's a new environment for me, moving from a corporate world to the education side. But now I get to interact with great teachers and people from different walks of life, from diverse sectors, and accomplished educationists, and more importantly, torchbearers of education, human values, and alma mater of this campus as well. So it's like, if you see, Vidya Vahini is filled with alma mater of campus, particularly Anantapur. So I kind of want to explore on this topic of breaking the glass ceiling, right? The inner ceiling comes next because, I think part of my presentation was already taken by Dr. Suma ma'am. I'm very happy for setting the context, for her setting the context, because she said it and conveyed it in a more beautiful ways. But the same Iman, KPMG or other, I picked up some numbers and then portrayed the other slides. Just to set the context before moving on to the inner ceilings, just want to see that where we are as actually women, right? So I want to explore it both from a corporate experience and then the role that they've started playing in the development sector, and particularly mentoring and coaching young entrepreneurs and startups, and also women leaders. So I got into a little bit of coaching. So with all that experience, I just wanted to share my perspectives more than anything. Okay, and again, it's a journey. Breaking the ceiling is a journey, and this learning is a journey. So many of us are familiar with this metaphor, right? Breaking the glass ceiling. So this is often repeated to tell us, it's actually to inspire us to break it, but then it is to tell us that what kind of visible as well as invisible barriers exist. That's why it's glass. Many times we kind of go back and hit ourselves and only then realize there is a glass. So it's like, it's a very invisible, like a barrier is, how, and it's not just one barrier. It's the many barriers that you have to keep crossing for life. So that's the breaking the glass ceiling. So just wanted to, understand, what it takes. And I think I got inspired by, I also wanted to kind of share first something about, introduced by myself. Of course, she picked up all the fancy jargons from LinkedIn, but, behind all that. Okay, so I'm actually eldest daughter of, I come from a family where we are 3 daughters. I'm the eldest. And thankfully, both my parents believed in educating us. Even though there were a lot of challenges, because the first daughter getting into education, and particularly for a little longer duration, there is always a belief that the marriage get extended and all the 3 daughters' marriage will get extended. So there are a lot of, families, very meaning friends and families talking against that. But thankfully, my parents stuck to that stand. And my mother was not physically well. Despite that, she didn't let us stop dreaming. Of course, something that education was not given to her, but she ensured that we are all getting educated. And of course, I studied in a government school because that was the closest to my location. It was an English medium, but it was a government school, and then many times I've always felt that I'm lagging behind in terms of my communication skills, particularly in English. And so on, I've had a lot of challenges, coming back and adjusting in a new college life when everybody is from convent educated and so on. A lot of feeling of like I'm insufficient, or I'm not, I have to do more, I have to do more type. And after completing my education in engineering, even that itself was a challenge because I chose electrical and electronics engineering, but there was only one offered in that campus. And whether that was a good choice for women was in the family debate for quite some time, because some well-meaning relatives will come back and say how difficult it is to get a job in electrical and electronics, and your daughter has chosen that. So again, the debate will start and the discussions will go around that. But thankfully, with all that commotions and confusions, I kind of completed, gave a couple of public sector company examinations. I cleared that as well. And somehow my father felt it is safe for women to get higher educated and become a teacher. So he somehow wanted me to become a teacher. And therefore, he agreed to my desire of pursuing my higher education. And since I've already reached about 20 years of age, I was allowed to go outside of Chennai at that point of time. Till then, it was a taboo. So then I got an admission in Kharagpur. So I was very thrilled and like excited. So I got into the campus, and of course he came and even it dropped me checking all the security and the safety net, right? The parents always offer the safety net, so ensuring that everything is safe. He didn't realize that he checked the hostel and everything was a girls' hostel. When I walked into the department for post-graduation, they had 40 people totally. I was the only women. He was not aware of that then. I had some time to adjusting because I was coming from, of course, my college was a co-education. I was coming from a girls' school, and completely girls in the senior secondary schools, and engaging with the men for discussion for everything. Like even for getting out to the washrooms and other things. I didn't have anybody to kind of share that what I was going through type, and I will come back, keep returning to the hostel every time. It was fun. It was a good learning. At least it was a learning for me that God gave me, that, how to work and understand and adapt to every situation. I was not introduced to Swami then. Of course, I had my little dear Ganesha, because he was my go-to person for everything. Because those days, any kind of a challenge that you face, you write it in a postcard, and from Kharagpur to reach Chennai, it will take 1 week. And sometimes some letters will get missed, so my father will repeat, it's like a duplicate copy of the letter, and he'll say sometimes you miss it, and therefore in case you miss it, your second copy you'll receive. So, that was so nice. And then we used to wait in long queues to even speak home and so on. But then all my, whatever challenges that I was going through, it's always the little lad Ganesha that, he was my best friend. Where I can fight, I can, go back and share my anguish, fear, everything to the God. That's how it was. And then, after completing my post-graduation, my professor was very keen in me undertaking some research, because kind of in a very ambitious effort, I took research on as part of my PG, which will take actually 5 years to complete at minimum. But I was trying to cram it in 8 months or 9 months. And they said, it's okay, you take this because I would want you to continue the research and so on. But things have changed, and then, of course, obviously, I didn't want to upset my parents, because if I get married, the rest of the sisters get married was the notion then. So I chose a job with Tata Consultancy Services, and I didn't know anything about IT for that matter. The only reason why I chose that was because I thought I'll get a job in Chennai. Even though my research was completely in power electronics, where there were big companies in Mysore, and my professor was completely upset that I'm wasting all that potential. And he even said that company walked in and they asked, isn't there anyone who's doing research in that area? I remembered you. If you want to change, I can speak to the training and placement officer and get you a second sitting. Because once you get a job, you're out of the TNP. So he said, I can again speak for you, and if you want, you can get the second job. But I said, no, sir, it is Chennai based. And then when the offer letter came, it was my first offer was in Delhi. So my biggest fear was how to break that to my father and make him agree to, make me join this company. And he was even more worried, because those time, it had a bond. That is, if you kind of sign up, you will have to complete for 3 years. So my father was even more worried. If I find a groom who's from a different location, if I have to break, in addition to the educational expenses, we have to add those breaking the bond expenses as well. So that was the situation, and then I moved in. And I was still not sure that whether I made the right choice in terms of career. Every time that, okay, I go to God, fine. I mean, something comes in. And even that engineering for that matter, one physics teacher, Mr. Shekhar sir, I remember, he told me you're good in physics and mathematics, you should do engineering. But for some reason, he didn't tell me to pursue mathematics or physics. He said, you do engineering. And I went and parroted that to my parents saying that I have to do engineering. Why? Because my physics teacher wanted me to do. My father was like, they're all from commerce. So he always thought I'm going to become a chartered accountant. I mean, that was their dream. He said, no, it's why physics, why engineering? Nobody in the family did that. And that too for women. I said, no, my teacher said it's very good. And then there are opportunities within Chennai and all that. I convinced all that. And that's how I kind of got in. And this Delhi job, and thankfully got a transfer, came to Chennai. Within the first year, there was some media person who were coming and interviewing people, women, and then I and few of my colleagues were invited and said that the question that they put was, there are many women who get into, these kind of jobs, but there are not many reaching the top positions, they're not progressing in the career. What's your view? I don't know why they put a question for somebody who was joined and within the first 1 year. I didn't even know the full meaning of career then. Okay, because my choices were like all destiny, like, some God-sent person was guiding me. So I was just wondering what is it. I gave a very tentative answer. If you don't know the answer, what do? You check for what other people are giving as answers, and you kind of make up, right? Some words from here and some words from there. So I gave a very tentative answer. Maybe women make a choice out of their own will, they have the family commitments and multiple responsibilities to juggle. I never thought about anything of that sort, including family, juggling and all that. But I still gave an answer because it was a very conditioned answer for women, saying that maybe that's the reason that they kind of don't move beyond that and so on and career progression. And then the newspaper clipping came, and including my grandfather and all were appreciating for that response. So I at least kept somebody in the family happy. Okay, it was very completely close-knit, Tamil family, right? And of course, as I said, my parents were a big support. And so based on all that, I gave that answer. But thanks to Swami, I had a very incredibly supportive family, not only my husband, both my parents, both set of parents. We were living with them, both the parents. We had such an extended ecosystem that we were living with, some adjacent apartment, because I come from a completely 3-daughter family. So we also moved my parents next. And we were living in so my kids had 2 sets of grandparents to take care. They were being taken care by 2 sets of grandparents. So I never had an issue. Even when I had to offer, actually, okay, when I had my second daughter, I wanted to offer saying, should I quit my job? Both my mother and mother-in-law, because obviously, otherwise I'll be a trouble for them. They were coming and saying, no. It's not just that. They said that we didn't get an opportunity, you should continue. Both of them pitched in and said that we will take care. And, I had my sister and sister-in-law delivering around the same time, all the same years. So I was wondering, how to do. I was actually juggling and saying, okay, should I do part-time? Should I ask for a part-time offer? Went and asked my boss. Okay, part-time offer. Okay, I was still that. I was programming heavy, high-T technology. He said, okay, fine. Can you, take over quality? He said, I'm asking for a part-time offer. You are asking me to become a function head. How is it? Right? He said, no, it's doable, right? Many times, I don't know what to do, but after my marriage, I was introduced to Pati. So whenever I come to Pati and go back, and anything that is offered to me, I always say that, okay, Swami is guiding me and I'll take it up. So that's how I moved on to the rule like a quality head or a process head or whatever it is. It was not very conscientiously thought over and said that, consciously thought saying that, no rational mind applying, okay, this is where I move, nothing of that sort. Something it came, I just picked it up. And the same thing, I sailed through the IT industry playing multiple roles. There was an entrepreneurship opportunity where for building the platforms that came. That again, I remember after a Pati visit. So I said, okay, fine, I'll take it up. Swami wants me to do that. So work with startups. And then I've been working with any team that is offered, any boss. I'm not very picky and choosy of what team to work with. And many times it's not that I had the knowledge. I didn't get into the quality with the knowledge of CMMI or Six Sigma or manufacturing or TQM, nothing. And all the people who were around me were educating me from the team. So I was willing to learn and learn from everyone. People who are coming from different industries, manufacturing. And even as an IT, as an industry, we borrow all good practices. Okay, we stand tall on the shoulders of other industries. Construction industries, all project management. All TQM, TPM from manufacturing industries. IT is actually it's an industry which is like a belpuri of, getting everything, good practices of everything, and we'll build on that. So that's how the industry itself was growing. And we were also learning. And it was a very young organization. So, everybody was made to feel that we are the owner of the company, and we were very happily growing with the company and so on. And then, like about 10 years back, after all that role, I got this opportunity to become part of the foundation. I do not know why that kind of came. And before that, Swami made me part of Sri Sathya Sai Vidyavani even before that, and also part of Sai education system. So people were knowing that, I have this interest, and both of us have this interest and so on. So when this opening came, they said, can you take it up? It was a substantial reduction in the salary. That's fine. Doesn't matter, because it's okay, because this is an NGO and we wanted to be in the development sector, moved there. And started working with a lot of women, particularly women. We started working on promoting quality health for women. We know in India, actually, a lot of public health expenditures, which is a percentage of GDP, whatever is spending on health, is actually spent on women and child health. Despite that, there are huge gaps. First to move from home delivery to institutional delivery, and then like a lot of other things. And even now today, when you walk in rural areas, despite going through the antenatal stage, when they are carrying the baby, they will get the last share of the meal. So what happens because of that? Malnutrition for them and also for the younger child. And we were working on this preventing avoidable blindness and so on. So actually, world's about 75% of, it's actually 1/3 of blind people of the world is actually in India. And 80% of that is avoidable. Early interventions are required, and more importantly, if you go back and see, it is the women's health, and when that is not addressed, when they are not taken care at the adolescent age, the folic acid or iron, or so when ma'am was saying that you have to take care of your health, that's the primary important thing. First, take care of your health, because you are going to build a future. So first thing is that we've started working with women, and we used to walk in slums of Kolkata and all that. And I still remember one lady was coming back. So, it's very small space, something like a washroom space. That was the place where the entire family were living. That's the kind of situation. And the women was coming and saying, it's okay to tell us to come and have good food. Okay, please educate us. Get us job. And they're already with 2 babies and 2 child or the 3rd child in the way and so on. And they were not educated fully, and they wanted skilling so that they can start earning and sharing the financial burden of the family. So it's not about breaking the ceiling, it's not only about moving up and so on. So at that point of time, we were looking for a lot of data. How do we get women into jobs which are highly rewarding? Okay, it's not about which job, what job. Is it? Today, the booming sector is actually a healthcare service sector. A lot of women are getting trained for geriatric care and baby care, so that the other women who can go for a job, we can trust with the women who can actually take care of. Today, we are both here because, and we have 285 plus, both my father and Sai's mother. And we have left it with our caretaker at home. And of course, my sister was traveling from US back, and then we ensured that somebody is there in the city and so on. But then, so that is a kind of, the care industry that is, the demand is going. So we wanted to get more women into that. So we were studying a lot of data. So in that context is where we started looking for this data. Okay, so the breaking the glass ceiling. So is this the one? Yeah. Did I press the wrong one? So we were looking for a lot of data to see that how do we get, okay, this left. Having sailed through IT industry, we still have struggle. This is also a labyrinth. So, so the Global Gender Gap Index, this is published by World Economic Forum. Okay. So it's basically on 4 things: economic participation and opportunity, educational attainment, health and survival, because these are equally important: educational attainment, health and survival, and of course political empowerment. Right? Or most of our policies, how, and it is based on a methodology, both based on statistics available with multiple international organizations. They call it as numerous economies, anything that is not necessarily a geographical state, but anything that is kind of published data about as an economy is what. And this is actually done in a scale of 0 to 100 as a percentage of how much of the gap has been closed. Okay, so this is what measures this. So let's not go back with all the measurement here. Okay, that's the overall average. Global gender gap is about 68.5%. From last year to this year, the improvement is 0.1%. Okay, so you can imagine how many generations, minimum 5 generations to take to close the gap. That's the data. economic participation is about 60.5%. Okay, and we used to actually, in 2018, we used to research a lot on one of the report called economic parity. I mean, it was parity by bringing women into workforce. That was published by McKinsey. Particularly, they were putting for developing economies like India, how it is important to bring women to workforce to improve the GDP. Because otherwise, we will never make it. You know, it's like if you want to lift people out of poverty, forget about breaking other glass. If you want to lift India out of poverty, you have to bring women into working force. This and structured, high-paying workforce. Okay, not the informal sectors. And today, gig workers are also like getting more and more as informal workers. So you have to get them as a formal setup. And of course, the health and survival sub-index, it all looks the gap is reduced. But India being India, like it's like it's not just for women. I mean, for everyone, the quality access to healthcare is an issue. That's a different thing. But let's talk about this economic participation and opportunity that is of interest today. Now, it's not just the entry, right? Now, coming to the today's topic. Forget about C-suite. As she rightly mentioned, Ms. Sriram rightly mentioned that it is at every level, entry to senior, to manager, to director, to vice president, to the C-suite. So, I mean, each stage, actually, why women drop out is for a different reason, actually. Initially, it's for family, caregiving. And more they go, it's for stereotypes, it's for lack of opportunities and so on. So it's actually, because as they go up, you know, they have less of their own crowd to mingle. I mean, they become a minority in that sense. So initially it is more for caregiving. So it's the different reasons for, you know, why they kind of drop out. So, fine. This specifically for India, where we are, you know, like just to show that it's where we are, our score is about 64. And everything, like, you know, graduation is actually, we seem to be doing very well in attracting women for STEM. You know, in US, it's very difficult to get people to get attracted to STEM career and so on. It's not so in India. But where the gap happens is subsequently later. And this again is the LinkedIn economic graph data, where it's about female representation, where we are. It's about representation itself is only about 27%. So, and then across senior leaders is about 16-17%. Okay. So this is the MAM's report, AIMA and KPMG, right? So this is where it is. She talked about family and caregiving responsibilities. Initial dropout is due to that. Then there is gender and bias, stereotypes, limited access to networking. So I completely need to comment something that is very striking for this institute is that how you are maintaining your alumni network. That's very important. You know, role models from your own alma mater coming and speaking here. You know, they are reachable for you as a network. And the network, of course, she talked about having a network and a mentor within an organization. Please understand, it doesn't happen all the time. We know about, I mean, at least I know about Sriram Group and what kind of a philanthropic mindset with which they started, where, you know, the founder shared a bulk of the, you know, like the thing to the employees and so on. That's a very, and of course, I was actually fortunate enough to be in a company which was very empowering that way, you know, cognizant. But it doesn't happen in all the places. So it is important to have your network both inside and outside, and role models both inside and outside. And your campus alumni network can be one such things, you know, limit and for networking and mentorship. Gender bias and stereotypes, I'll come to that, you know, like that's exactly going to be my topic for the rest of the things. Lack of equal opportunities, that changes by sector. Definitely by sector that has an impact. You know, I would say in IT and predominantly a bulk of STEM is equal. You take even banking and finances, that's why you see more women coming into financial sectors as well as in IT. Okay. Not so much in manufacturing, they're making changes and so on. So, you know, each one of the industry is different. Unequal pay or compensation, you know, I think this population meant it only by 6%. But if you go to the lowest strata of society, unequal pay and compensation is more, particularly when it is labor intensive, construction workers and so on. So that is where the gap is huge. Can automation help there? You know, like today in Kerala, they are having some entrepreneur was trying out like how the women can do climbing and plucking coconuts from the trees, right? So that's a completely unexplored opportunity which has become possible because of technology, and women can play that role. And today, more and more women are getting into agriculture, if you see. Men are migrating into urban cities. Women are, you know, actually doing it. And to a large extent, automation is making it possible, okay? And of course, the others. So, what are the areas of development that's kind of identified, you know? That's only a very small percentage if you say building technical skills. So, it's only 3%. So, you don't worry about your technical skills. You're taking care, you're acing it, you know, right from schools, right from colleges, your technical skills. Enhancing communication skills, probably a bit, but a big part, navigating organizational politics. And that's exactly why she said you need to have a mentor within an organization. I can see all the women here laughing. Okay, so that's because we are wired differently. We don't know how to handle politics, or at least handle the politics the way in which it is handled. Okay, so that requires certain tactics, techniques. And somebody has actually, when I was I was pushed for another training, which is for aspiring women directors. I was not aspiring, okay. I was pushed for an aspiring women director program because somebody in my bosses thought that I'm eligible. And then there is a women director quota coming and they said, okay, go for this training. So I went for the training. A lot of women, one of the senior male person was coming and saying that people overhype one quality is assertiveness. He said, don't play with it, be persuasive. It's not about assertiveness, it's about persuasiveness, it's about getting things done. And he said it is equally applicable both of men and women. In the board, it's not about assertiveness. You know, like you come for Swami's work. It's not about assertiveness. You come and work in groups whom you don't know. They are not people reporting to each other. Where is assertiveness come here? It's about your ability to influence. That persuasiveness is what you need to develop. I'll still remember. And of course, there are other things also shared in that forum. So next is building confidence. Okay, I mean, even though it says assertiveness, I wanted to give that. It is not necessarily assertiveness. It's also about you need to be confident to ensure that it can happen and you can make it happen. And how you do it, without hurting anyone, you can still do it. And definitely, yes, balancing work-life demands. Because a bulk of the thing, and balancing work-life demands, whose responsibility is that? The government needs to play a role. They need to provide infrastructure. If you take for the lowest strata of society, that's why the Anganwadis and Balabatikas exist today, right? Because that's where the women can safely deposit their children and go. And therefore, that's the reason why in Sopan and in Vidyavani, we believe in foundation literacy, taking it to Anganwadis. Because that cannot be only for giving all the Satyamavus or all the health balls. That's the earliest thing that what typically the parents are supposed to give for their young ones. That kind of an education can start from Anganwadis and Balavatikas. So you need to have safety net with the government organized those kind of stuff. And plus, a lot of companies are now thinking about daycare and creche. So that was pre-COVID. Post-COVID, they are not thinking along. They know that it is very difficult to run creche and daycare center. They're thinking it is actually easier to let women work from home. Whether the women are happy, that's a different thing. There are a lot of articles around COVID where they felt it is actually a double burn for them. Because, they are expected to, particularly during COVID, because most of the places, particularly people living in, you don't have the support ecosystem also who can come and travel. They have to take care of everything and take care of calls. And we are in a work anywhere, work anytime, which means work all the time culture. So we work all the time, and we don't know from which work to which work you transition. You move from one to another, naturally. And then you'll have to juggle. Like we have Mata Shakti with all the multiple arms with multiple weapons. We have to manage which weapon to toss it at that point of time for our job. You will have to figure it out. So that is the top areas for women leadership development. And now comes MAMS. And this is actually a pretty old one, right? 2007. But I still love it. Yeah, 2007, the cat is the double-bind dilemma for women in leadership. Damned if you do, doomed if you don't. Too soft, too tough. You're never right. These are gender stereotypes, and it creates a no-win situation. So, a lot of education going on saying that how the men need to be taught about, how to handle this stereotype. I'm actually completely coming from another angle. Is there something for us to learn from this and see that whether we have to break any of our inner ceiling? Are we tossing between that overconfidence and the lack of confidence? Appearing to be too soft or too tough, the same person, it's possible. Because we've all gone through that, right? We've all gone through that. Sometimes you want, there's a lot of lack of confidence. You want to prepare, and then you don't want that lack of confidence to be showing off and you want to appear confident. So are we overdoing it? Because it's a pendulum. You can swing from the too soft to too tough also as a human being. I'm not saying it's only for women, it's also for the men. Right? So are we also this, whatever the stereotype, should we have something? So that's exactly the topic. Okay, I know it's a long context setting. Self-limiting beliefs. Okay. So each of the self-limiting beliefs, this is something that I started learning. And what are these self-limiting beliefs? And there's a cage that where you're caging yourself type. Okay. So this is something that I learned. As I said, that any opportunity was coming, I was trying to learn, unlearn. Something pushes me out of comfort zone. Initially, I will be hesitant, reluctant, but then when Swami pushing me, I'll happily take because I know that's going to be a new learning. So this is something I was trying to do because one from a development sector, corporate sector, but many people were coming to mentoring from startups. And also I thought I should learn first what is formal mentoring. I thought I should learn about business mentoring and so on, but I ended up in this course, got myself certified as an executive coach. It became a completely new thing. It opened me to the world of psychology, completely alien to me. And of course, I did some work on psychology because as part of one of my organizational change management program, wanted to work and drive change management. Therefore, we were working on some positive psychology. Martin Seligman, professor, was considered as father of positive psychology and so on. So this, I think, I don't know whether you're psychology students, this experiment you would have heard about this, the dogs experiment. Yeah, you all know that, okay, right? Learned helplessness, right? One set of dogs put in something where they had a control, another one didn't have a control of operating the lever. It was a shock given to them. And they learned it that they cannot actually jump from one place to another place to help themselves, and therefore it continued. Even when they had an option or a choice, they continued that learned helplessness. And this is something that was striking to me when started listening to people from the corporate world, the young leaders to coach, the mentors from young entrepreneurs, and as well as from social sector, people who are leaders, trying to see that the learned helplessness is there for everyone, including us, in some form or the other. We think we retire to a situation, we resign to a situation, beyond that it cannot happen. And therefore, fine, we stop trying. So what are the things that we stop trying? Or what are the things, can we break those beliefs? It is very conditioned, particularly the childhood experiences. It's kind of sits very deep-rooted, deep-seated as this belief. One such thing is I cannot fail. She also talked about, right, taking risks. I have the problem. I was actually telling her, she talked about finance. As I said, it was a 3-daughter family, so whatever the little saving we were saving, at that time my father was very enthusiastic about investing, and then the Ashrat Mehta happened just before my wedding. Collapsed, crashed. Wedding was fixed. So Ashrat Mehta took away all the money. I was so afraid of making investments since then. I actually opened my account, thanks to my husbands and sisters, about 3 weeks back. I used to argue saying that don't invest. Put it on all safe mutual fund. Up to PPF. Beyond that, equity, I'll always have that fear. Because you cannot fail. Financial failure is the biggest fear that I had to face. And actually, at one point of time, I felt that, no, I have to come out of the fear. I didn't want to earn money. Other thing is, I also started thinking that, why do you need money? I don't need to chase money. So that was another thing. That was an excuse I was giving myself. But internally, I had this fear. Okay. Then I thought, okay, let me put a good purpose for earning. I'll put some money. Whatever this is coming out of that, I will give it for this particular purpose. But I would still earn. Okay, so that was one way of making myself motivated. Okay, saying that, okay, I'll do for this project, this books I'll buy for this school, whatever it is, but get that. So I cannot fail. That's a very, very big fear. And for many women, I think it's equally there for men, but then definitely I've seen that very stronger for women for one reason. They feel that they're very highly guarded and watched at every step. Okay, particularly when they climb the corporate ladder and they feel that, somehow there are women who will come back and saying that the entire world is against them. There are times that they feel that the entire world is against them. They don't get a promotion, okay, fine. So things like that. That's even more making them getting into a negative cycle of I cannot fail and I cannot fail. Over preparations. As students, how many of you prepare till the nth minute even before going and meeting a professor? If you're a research scholar, right? Going and preparing. You go back and you really don't know. We think that they've come with lack of preparations, sitting in this side. They're nodding that side. We sit in the side and think that, oh, these kids, they don't even do the preparations. Actually, I'm sitting on the student side, I see them preparing till the last minute and saying that, no, they'll still be afraid of going back and talking to them. Yeah, that is also true. That is also true. But the thing is, yes, I'll get reprimanded for preparing at the last minute, and therefore, they kind of hesitate and put off a discussion. And this happens in the career as well. And they don't go back and discuss anything. If they're stuck with a problem, they feel that, oh, I cannot take help because I'll be considered as someone incompetent. But in corporate, it doesn't work that way. Speed matters. Okay. Speed matters for everything, for taking decisions, which means you don't have time, as in the grounding or the training that we go through in academia. The same kind of a speed or a pace doesn't help them, because if you don't do that, somebody else do it. It's not about how high quality your innovation is. How fast you're innovating and taking it to the market matters the most. Because there are so many innovators who are coming back and the fastest wins. And sometimes it's not the fastest. The first one, if you look at it, many of the innovations, at least in the technology, the second one wins. Because they learn from the first one and quickly, apply all that learning from not only their mistakes, but others' mistakes, and quickly learn and move forward. So you need to be fast, and that agility matters, which means you need to take help. And taking help doesn't put yourself in an incompetent position. And like she beautifully said, the sum total of individual innovation is actually much more than the individual. Let's say A plus B is greater than A plus B. Is actually the sum total. If it's a 2 plus 3 is greater than 5. The reason is your 2 ideas and 3 ideas collides. And then it comes up with a much greater idea. So that is very important, and I cannot fail cannot be an attitude. And then I'll share from one of my coaching engagement. So this is actually a very successful leader, okay, heading a unit. And as part of the coaching engagement, that was my apprenticeship for coaching actually. And the supervisors came back and they said that this is the reason for coaching. And they said that this person is too good, in terms of their operational execution, the planning, perfect. She lacks executive presence. Very tricky word. What is that executive presence, right? Ambiguous. And then we have to dig deeper with her, saying that one of the things is that in ambiguous situation, she's not able to sail through. So not able to navigate. And in business, everything is not black and white. You will have to navigate ambiguity. So when you have to navigate ambiguity, then what you need to do? To navigate ambiguity, you have to have the first leap of faith and jump into that and do something. So if you're not a risk taker, if you feel that I cannot fail and I want to over prepare at every step, you never make the first step in the first place. Take the first step in the first place. So that is one example that where, like we have to do a lot of things. A lot of our coaching discussions when saying that, what are all the opportunities that, like you missed to take, and then what you could have learned otherwise. So she started pinning down and so on. So this is the opportunity I missed. I could have learned this. I could have missed and learned this. And she was talking about meeting some other unit head in the canteen. And she was very happy one day saying that because the unit head recognized her by name. Okay, I said, fine. How did you continue the conversation? No, I was not prepared for the conversation. So after saying hello, I will move away. Very natural. That's networking, right? So we talk about networking in the AIMA McKinsey report. Networking is like not waiting for that opportunity and waiting for you to prepare a network. Every opportunity that comes your way, how do we leverage it? And I remember one of my mentor in the coaching, he said that many times we always think that we have to sound interesting in every conversation. That is a barrier that we put for ourselves. You don't have to sound interesting. You can be a good listener and make the other person feel that they are interesting. And actually that is a skill where you don't have competition. Very little competition. So you can just be a very good listener when the other person is making a very good point, and be a good listener. And there's another coachee, and that is actually a very interesting sector. She's a leader in mining. So first of all, I would not have jumped in and taken a mining as a sector, knowing my background. So I was very happy that somebody, I said okay, I'm going to get coached from her. I'm going to learn a lot from her. She was from mining industry. And I think the moment she walked in or whatever it is, they said a lot of contractors and vendor, right? In the sense you need to deal with a lot of vendors. And a lot of our peer group came back and said that you're too soft to the vendors. Too soft, the same double bind by law. And she thought, should I be arrogant? Because, they'll take you for a ride. Because you have to work with vendors, you have to work with these contractors, they'll take you for a ride. She thought, should I really be and somehow she was not convinced. She stuck to the stand. She was very polite and at the same time got the work done. And she was able to convince others that, yes, it's actually possible. But not everybody can stuck to that stand, right? Because sometimes we get confused with feedback. Mentoring is easy. Who's your mentor? Identifying that mentor is a big thing. Because it's a well-meaning advice people give from around you, saying that, hey, you'll be taken for a ride, don't do this. You will be taken for a ride, don't do this. So what is the dharma that you're allowed to stuck to, right? I mean, you might getting all this. See, many a times we get confused from our experiences around us, be it school, be it college, be it corporate, in any academia, any entrepreneurship, performing arts, anything, or sports, anything that you take, you try to be following the dharma of what others are following somehow, right? So what is going to guide you? And that is where this education in this campus is going to stand you. I mean, I don't think that we have a lot to learn from here. The other belief, I don't need to sell or project my work. I have that. They should know my work and recognize me. I will take zero effort to talk about it because it's not right to sell. Correct? It's not right to sell. Particularly in the corporate world where the speed is important. You know, there are well-meaning mentors who come back and say that, how many times you met the boss? I said, I don't have a need to meet the boss. No, did you report to them what you're doing? No, they will know. They'll get to know. That used to be my tentative response. But the problem is they are equally challenged to understand what is really going on. So it's your responsibility to communicate. And that's why communication is coming up. If you see that report also, communication is coming up. It's not communication skills. It's not about your ability to articulate. It's about, okay, are you able to project your work? And it's not just your work, it's your team's work. And as I said, the speed is important. If your team is doing something, some other team is doing something, intentionally many of our product companies or the tech companies, they have conflicting, basically they will make two projects which are working on the same problem. And whichever is succeeding, that goes to market. Okay. There are many times that where I was pushed into some this technology platform and I realized that there are 3 other teams which are doing it in the same company. Or at least something similar. So either you do it fast, compete with them because you want to protect your team's interest, all the effort that's going on. But the bigger thing is, what is the larger purpose? Why is the company doing it? Can I have this coalition of ideas between the teams? Which means, can I go back and make the first step and try to ask them what's going on? Project your work, try to understand their work, and therefore something bigger can come. So unless you project your work, you talk about it, nothing is going to happen. Like we get coached, and I still get coached for that. The other one is, I lack worldly knowledge. Like, again, the same mining industry woman, she was saying that before every event, she will prepare. And she had a plan, a daily plan, saying, I need to read newspapers, I need to read these books, because I need to prepare everything and then go. So then the same advice from a mentor, like, I will talk to people. Because worldly knowledge doesn't come from books. But just talking to people. Every event, every opportunity like this, why are we coming here? Because we are listening to each one. And then that is the knowledge that we pick it up. And that's much richer, much faster to reach you than actually skimming through the books. Okay, of course, Google is there, Google search is there, and now there's also a chat GPT which kind of abstracts and gives you. It can also give its own hallucination. But nothing like getting it first-hand from people who have experienced that in life. And last, lack of access to professional network. And this is something the women themselves come back and say, and it's also come back and say that, see, it's not that I cannot build a professional network. That are coming back and saying that I don't have time. I don't want to prioritize that time. Many women in mid-leadership, they come back and say, men finishes all the business deals in evening dinners and meetings. Like what she said. I choose not to attend to it because I want to be with my family. So where do I get my access? So I was thinking hard, I don't know what to mean. But many times I also see that we should also change and make men to come into our thing. And we started inviting families, both my men in my team and as well as women in my team with family for Navaratri, Dashra. That's my networking. I'll do networking with Sundal. I don't have to do it in my, 5-star hotel dinner. I actually made Sairam bring his European customer also home. So I was teaching, I was giving him a demo of Dashra, the Golu, the dolls and all that. And he was talking about how we can actually start a hotel in Frankfurt airport. Of course, that never materialized, but I'm saying that you can do networking in the way in which you want. It's your natural style. That's Indian style, right? You don't have to necessarily fall trap into, okay, fine. The that's a different style, I'll not be able to adjust to it. You bring them home. You have your kids also. It's also an exposure for them. They also get to meet people from different culture, different countries, different teams. So it is the too tough, too soft, never just right. I always feel it's a pendulum that we should attack it also from internally. Like, I cannot fail. Maybe I can make it like sound I'm very risk averse and too soft type. Okay, or I cannot take help as others make me appear. Swing the other pendulum and appear super competent and try to show a bit of arrogance. So that is possible, right? So we also kind of have that oscillation. So, but one of the common thread across all these, whether it's a corporate or, as I said, that startup mentoring, or as well as people from lower strata of society who are struggling to get a job. But one thing that I found, what made it possible for them, beyond all this, one thing that they broke is this barrier. I cannot afford to dream big. Don't lose your dream. Your dream is yours, you should cherish it. Whatever little big, and your dream is evolving. Okay. I mean, in other coaching things, we ask them like, what is that you want to become in life? We never got any answer. Then we translate it as, okay, in 5 years, where do you see? 5-year time frame is where people are comfortable answering, because that's true. I mean, at least I can say that for myself. I mean, have we discovered our purpose ourselves? I'm comfortable surrendering to will. I know Swami has a purpose for me. Okay, so that is the reason why whatever opportunity that was coming, it was easier to take it. It's not that your rational mind does take over. You also go and fight with Swami. Because sometimes I will be put into a situation where I will realize that I was wanted for that role. People will make it appear that I wanted for that role and they'll take me. And then they'll realize they wanted to remove that existing person and therefore they took me there. I was just a scapegoat. Okay. And then they'll say, you work it out. How to work it out? Somehow you work it out, like taking it up, that person is leaving. And then it will be a big drama. Big emotional drama, fight. Should I stay there? Should I come over? Should I quit? I think in that other tea break, everybody was talking how many times we contemplated about quitting. It's very normal. It's normal. Crying, going back, crying, is all normal. Then every time, I still remember that one person was physically handicapped, and then that person had to be moved out, and they took me to that role. And he was not just physically handicapped, he, I think, suddenly got into the physical handicap, and therefore there was a lot of resistance and negativity that he couldn't play that role. So I was just pushed in. And so every day that he will talk bad things about the company, I'll go sit there the entire day. So the only thing I could do is I'll pray Swami. Help him, he has to find peace first. And I had to go back and tell that, no, it's not, I am not keen in taking it over. It's fine. Let the time take its, let it take its time. And so on. It just happened, and things like that. So you'll have to be very patient. It's not about the opportunity comes to you. So every time I go back to Swami, I cannot handle this. This is an emotional drain. Sitting and seeing someone actually collapsing from within, it's such an emotional drain. And women are very emotional as well. You cannot handle it the way I find. And there are a lot of men folks will coming by and say, why are you still dilly-dallying it? Yeah, come on, don't go and take it over. No, it's not easy. It might be an elevator conversation, some advice that you take. That's not your style. That's not what you want to do. You want to sit, let it take its time. So it's not about, yes, what is dreaming big? What is the case that you want to break, right? So this is a question I kept asking Swami. It's sit that big paychecks, big role, sit in the board. Because all this board, quota, all that is fine. Or just the fancy titles like CEO and so on. Yes, we do get trapped for that. I don't deny it, okay? We do desire for that. Because it gives us some self-confidence. That is, because if you keep your self-confidence on external parameters, on materialistic stuffs, then there is no end to it. You will keep chasing. But is that what you really are breaking the barrier towards? What is that you want to break the barrier for? We always give this comparison with glass ceiling. Okay, and ma'am talked about labyrinth because I loved it. I'll tell you why. I always thought it is not a transparent glass, it's a translucent glass. Because we don't even know what is there other side fully. It's only a hazy picture. So I kind of resonated with labyrinth because there is a path somewhere light is coming. You don't know which way is out. So it's not about a glass ceiling that where you're seeing everything. You don't even know what. You call it Maya, whatever it is. If you want to know what is dreaming big, I mean, ultimately, it has to be kind of playing to our potential, the full potential, and whatever we are destined for. And it's our purpose for whatever we are, I mean, whatever Swami has given us. And if you're in the, I mean, I don't know, for learned scholars here, I don't know, at least I'm in the process of discovering it, learning it, failing, learning. So I don't know what is there on the other side. There is only a hazy picture. So what is that you're breaking? And it is not one barrier you're breaking. You break one barrier, then you see the next one. The next haziness start coming in. So you think that's your purpose. You think that's your purpose. So initially, when I started, I definitely wanted a good education. I didn't mean an IT career or whatever it is. I didn't even know. I mean, many people said your public sector job would have paid you much higher and all that. But then IT had a boom, and then I was growing along with it, both financially, and then the family status grew up. It's initially you just want a welfare of your family. We start with that, right? It's just a good job, good pay, so that you can take care of your family, you can take care of your parents, and so on. So that starts with that. And definitely you don't want to stop there, right? You see, that inequality exists everywhere, and you see that how much that we can actually go back and share that, and how much of, not necessarily financially, many people, like in this institution, right? Sharing your knowledge and time and effort, which is more sacred than money, actually. Like you could have chosen anything else, but coming back and sharing the time and your effort and your knowledge, that's more sacred. And so you want to ensure that everybody is kind of taken and build an inclusive society. So you think that you're chasing the goal of, okay, fine, I am doing all this because I want an inclusive society. I have a bigger purpose. Swami has given me a bigger purpose than the money. I've given a bigger purpose. But actually, if you stay closer to that, is it that what Swami wants you to do? Is it just, okay, you want you to dream big and build a big inclusive society, that's your big dream? Somehow I started feeling that in that process, if you're burning yourself, if you're losing yourself, and you are not realizing that oneness, right? Are we on the right path? So that was, I don't know, it was a very easy thought. I was chewing him saying that, no, I don't know, with SSIHL, this is not the big barrier Swami wants to break. What is it? Like that alchemist book, right? I was going all around. I was actually wanting to go and put Mother Ishwarama's face, because I really loved that particular photo that is there in that Vidyavahini corridor. So I was searching for that photo. Then I ended up with some articles and so on. And then suddenly this flash of light that came. It's not about the numbers, because we always get trapped with one big number, big posts, big titles, and if you are in a social sector, big impact number, reaching 1 lakh, reaching 2 lakh, reaching 3 lakh. It's not just about that number. Suddenly in the night, I kind of, as a flashback, 2 incidents came. Like one, when I was working with, the education side for differently abled, I visited 2 campuses. One was a teacher, as a special educator. She was teaching a deaf and blind child. Okay. No big name, no fancy title. For that matter, even I don't remember her name. Okay. But it has such a profound impact on me. What I felt was the way in which she was actually teaching the child and how enthusiastic and happy the child was. That boy was actually pulling my hand and trying to give his name to introduce himself, because it's only the tactile. Okay, because hearing is gone and visual is gone. So he was giving his name. And he was giving his hand so that I can write my name. He just wanted to connect. That is connection much beyond any sensory perception. And the way in which the teacher was, I could just feel the oneness there. There was no guru, there was no shishya, there was no teacher, no child. She was actually literally going into the plane of the child and teaching that. No big number, no fancy impact numbers, no social impact numbers. Can we feel that when we are doing whatever job, whatever role that we take? Okay. Are we able to feel that? And the second one was actually a leader of that educational institution. She was talking about how they get into the plane. I don't know, maybe it's a Waldorf method or something they follow in the school. So they were getting into the plane of the child. That was catering to autistic children. So they had a lot of concern about, they came up and submitted a proposal for coming up with, supporting them for the computer infrastructure. And we were a tech company, we wanted to extend immediately for computers. So we went there. But they were in 2 minds whether to use computers. So we took an educational consultant who was a specialist on assistive technologies. But she was saying that I don't know, because, these young children, I don't know what type of waves and other things that kind of, that it will affect them. But she says, I also want to give that skill because that is going to help them get a livelihood. And they said, okay, fine, let's reframe your problem statement. They said, like, teachers will use it for research and so on. Elder children can use it, not the younger children. And there was one elderly child who was actually using some paintbrush and other things. Autistic child. He has penned a poem, to just give it to us. It was about his love for trees. And we think that, we are normal. And, that child, the way in which he was relating to nature and the oneness around him, that had such a profound impact. So these are, if you go and ask for dreaming big, I don't know, for me, I think I don't feel that the dreaming big, at least I always went through that. Initially, it was fancy titles, yes, big paycheck, yes. And then big impact numbers, yes. Now I feel that it is actually that what is it doing for us? It's not about, chasing these dreams as big titles and impacting society, but what is it doing to us? Isn't that the biggest purpose and the barrier that we'll have to cross? After doing all that, I came back to the SSIHL Anantapur website. Okay, this is what I talked about, the alchemist story. So I don't want to misquote here. So this is what is there in your... Okay. This institute has not been established just to prepare you for earning degrees. Main purpose, so he has already given an answer, but he made me search. The main purpose is to help you cultivate self-knowledge and self-confidence so that each of you can learn self-sacrifice and earn self-realization. If that's the purpose, what are the barriers? Everything else is secondary. I am not in a place where I can preach. Of course, Swami has made it very clearly in this, the corridor of Bhakti. Don't preach, practice. So I thought, okay, this is an opportunity to speak to you, not because he meant, this speech for you. He meant it for me. This is an opportunity for me to be part of Anantapur campus to learn. I have to be a student here. And the purpose is not about any of these fancy numbers. It's about the self-sacrifice and the self-realization. It's a very long way to go, okay? I'm not somebody who will come back and ask you, what do you want to be your next birth? I would say that I want to be a better musician. I want to sing bhajans better. Not someone will say, I want to do self-realization, all my karma gets vanished and all that. No. A lot of happiness, like being part of things like that. So, but, what is that we want to understand? Is that love? And again, that message, start your day with love, end your day with love. So, can we do that? Actually, whatever that you take, are we able to do that lovingly? Okay, so that big barriers. And again, I again want to end this by offering this to Mother Ishwaramba. Because she's the reason for the very construction of this particular campus and institute, right? Our request to Swami is what made it happen, and we are standing tall here. And definitely she's a role model for dreaming big. And this one, I just want to quote from Sai Sri Shakti series, compiled beautifully by Miss Janaki Balaram of Radio Sai. It compiles all the events and presents the making of the first and best devotee. She has got that tag saying first and best devotee of Swami, Lord Mother Ishwaramba. Started as a young bride with a loving heart, becoming a blessed mother, raising a divine child. And she relearned herself to serve as a Sevadal. New role for her. From the family out. And then she became a revolutionary of her own might. Silent Sri, Silent Shakti. This quotes particularly from the book Matru Stuti by Dr. Kamala Arora, a long-time devotee of Baba. How she used to serve several children at her household without differentiating that this is my child and this is a different child. And this is an aspect that Swami loved. So can we have that loving motherly care, not just for the children that we personally raise, but for the larger society? And of course, whatever she served later at villagers or devotees at the mandir, the same attitudes continue till the end. And shunned publicity, always modest. So again in the discourse 19th November 1995, Call for Women by Swami. Develop the qualities of sympathy, compassion, love and sacrifice. Study the lives of our great women, Sir talked about beautifully, who are models of patience, fortitude, compassion and sacrifice. And I had highlighted it and kept, I desire that you take up the reins of leadership. So don't sell yourself short. Don't stop dreaming big. Swami has very clearly said, I desire that you take up the reins of leadership. And for what? Bring peace and prosperity to the nation by leading ideal lives. Okay. So all that I want to say is that, yes, you can say all these internal barriers, the fears, the confusions and so on, right? So always I like this one WhatsApp forward. There is a big Swami behind me. Why worry? Why bother? So why fear, right? So that is a big Swami behind you. So if you have any problems, my internal mentor is Swami. It's not within the institute because you don't get in every time. You cannot go back. And of course, like definitely family support and my husband's support and the entire sisters and brothers and sister-in-law. But support is there. But my first support is always Swami. So you have a mentor. Only thing is, he just makes you go through all this and finally he's there, right? Very, very much there. Yeah, it's there. Come. You search everywhere and come back here and then I'll give you time. So your internal beliefs and things that, anything that is self-limiting, get rid of. So what are all the beliefs that is really will make you keep learning? The curiosity, the passion, and the passion for what you're doing. A love for yourself and for people around you. You're also part of that. That oneness also includes you. So you should first love yourself. Take care of yourself. Sairam.
They say in management or any other domain for that factor, that any decision or any information put forth has to be data driven. Thank you, Ms. Rajashri, for picking out the data and statistics from various sources to give us that reality check about today's topic. Your infographics enhanced our learning of glass ceiling. Incidentally, some of our sisters have put up some of this data at the entrance. You made the complex ideas of women leadership so easy for us to imbibe through the right mix of humor in it. Also, talking about The Alchemist, the book written by Paulo Coelho, he says in the book that you do not have to go around the world to find that treasure. Similarly, as women, you do not have to look for other sources to break that ceiling or to come out from that labyrinth. It is right within you. You just have to ignite that spark with that belief that you can do it. I now request our director, Professor P.L. Rani, to present a small token of appreciation to Ms. Rajashri Natarajan. Thank you, ma'am. While we are aware that the pangs of hunger have been muffled in this rain of wisdom, it is our duty to remind you to break for lunch and assemble back by around 1:45 p.m. for yet another absorbing and exciting session. Thank you.